And I'm live, and hopefully everybody can hear me. Let's bring the microphone in here. I'll probably knock over everything. I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the channel. This is of course Crypto Pig, and this is live stream, Monday's night live stream. So thank you for joining me once more. We'll just do a bit of a brief intro before I say hello to everybody in the chat. If you're new to the channel, please do make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit that notification bell. If you could also maybe share this with people on Twitter, that would be super helpful. Just get the word out about it. I imagine you all pretty much know that crypto is pretty much being suppressed by YouTube. They are desperately trying to keep a lid on cryptocurrencies and doing the bidding of their banking overlords. So if you can get the word out there, you'll be helping out a load for me. So today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, of course, because on Friday we were talking about the Grayscale GBTC unlock. I said that it wasn't going to probably do anything to the market, and I think I've pretty much been correct. Yeah, we saw a bit of a drop today, but it doesn't really seem to have had a massive impact just yet. But I am a little bit concerned, not with regards to the crypto market itself, but just with what's going on in the wider sort of markets, in the actual political sphere, and what's going on in the real world around us, and whether that could potentially have some effect on Bitcoin's price over the next couple of months. I think that we are in for some rocky times ahead, but I don't think that this is going to be actually just cryptocurrencies that we will have a problem with. So we'll be talking about that in today's video. We'll be going over the charts, we'll be looking at some of the news and why I believe that we have to be cautious moving forward. Even though I am bullish about Bitcoin's price itself, I think there's a lot of other stuff going on in the world that we really have to be careful about. So we're going to talk about that in tonight's video, and then I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to ask me to look at some charts or projects even that you enjoy and you're really, into, and I'll bring up the charts and do some charts for you as well. So with all that said, it's probably time for me to check out the chat and see who's about and say hello to people. So let's check it out. We've got Richie in the chat. He's saying, I'm here, don't panic. And Tokyo. Hey Tokyo, how are you doing, buddy? Really glad to see you there. It's nice to see my friends in the chat there. Because believe it or not, I do have some friends. Although, you just, you assume looking at me and the fact that I like talking to my webcam so much that I probably don't have many real life friends. I do have some, I promise you. But that's okay. To be honest with you, all my real life friends that matter are on the live stream here with me anyway. So great to see you all in the chat there. That's excellent. We've got Paul as well. Paul, he's the main man. How are you doing, bro? You okay? So one thing I wanted to do before we crack into everything is I wanted to actually shout out to, I want to just shout out to the world, freedom! Paul, Paul, you're in Australia, aren't you? Sorry, it'll be Richie will know what I'm on about. Tokyo will know what I'm on about. Apparently today is Freedom Day, everybody, because the government can take away our freedoms quite clearly. It looks like that's the case, and today they're being so kind as to let's have a few of them back, but we have to be responsible, and if anything goes wrong they'll blame us for it as well anyway and put us back in lockdown, I'm sure. So anyway, regardless of that, we've had our Freedom Day today. We've got Paul Gilner in the chat. Paul is saying hello from Poland. Hey Paul, how are you doing? Really glad to see you in the chat joining us. Please do make sure, if you haven't subscribed or followed us, do that. That'd be really great. Mateus Augusto, yo Mateus, how are you doing? It's good to see people joining in with us now before we get into the to the meat of this video, this live stream tonight. Tokyo, today I forgot and wore a mask in Tesco's. Richie's saying, wear your mask anyway, Tokyo, mate, I will. It's the responsible thing to do. See, I love Richie, but Richie will know that I am not responsible. And I'm not very, very compassionate. I am sorry. I haven't worn my mask for ages because I've just... To be honest with you, as soon as the government said they were going to remove the need to wear masks, I was thinking to myself, what is the difference between wearing the mask? You know, I wore it where I had to wear it beforehand, and always did. And then as soon as they said they were going to stop us wearing masks, I thought to myself, actually, this is really stupid. This is very silly. If I wear my mask now, what is the difference between wearing my mask today or tomorrow? Either I'm going to wear it forever or I'm not going to wear it, because there is no difference between wearing it yesterday before Freedom Day and wearing it today, in my opinion. So I just took the mask off. I'm not going to be messing about. Either we wear it forever or we don't wear it. That's my opinion. And and Richie points out quite clearly and very, very true. Says the only one of us that has had a COVID. It is true, mate. It is true. Tokyo got his jabs. Tokyo, yeah, James gave me COVID back in December, the prick. Well, yeah, it was probably me that gave you COVID. And look at me. How evil am I? Laughing about the fact that you had COVID. So guys who are watching over on YouTube are probably wondering who I'm talking to. Just to let you know, I am chatting as well, also on Twitch. So if I look at this screen over here, it's Twitch, and here it's you guys on YouTube I'm talking to. Well, I'm talking to you all, but who I'm responding to. Paul said, already subscribed, doing well, thanks. Great to hear it. Thank you, Paul. Nadir's in the chat. Hello, Nadir. Thank you very much for joining. And Tervos, who says masks suck. They're not much fun. To be honest with you, Tokyo, you actually caught COVID from me, and I was always wearing a mask. So, and you were always wearing a mask. So masks probably don't really work, or at least don't stop it. If you're actually near somebody, you're going to get it, I think, regardless. Richie points out something else that's kind of a bit scary. Figures today say 60% of those in hospital with COVID have had both jabs. Either that means the jabs just don't work and never did, or maybe we're being fed some bullshit and it's just all a ploy to get us all locked down again in September. Dear, I'm gonna wind Richie up tonight, I reckon. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. It's not nice. Not nice. Hopefully, though, you've been enjoying the weather. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. Really, well, it's probably too hot, to be honest with you. But I have been enjoying some of that heat. Hey, Cheesley. Cheesley's in the chat. Nice one, Cheesley. Thank you for joining us. We need some new subscribers. I want to see a dab. Yep, well, hopefully we'll get some new subscribers tonight, and we can definitely do the dab. So I think all of you are subscribers, so you know the dab, because I've given you the dab before. Paul says my face is more scary than the mask. Well, sometimes the mask has its advantages. Like, for example, I can get away with not shaving, and I actually, when I hide this half of my face, I actually look quite quite dashing. So maybe I should just wear it for cosmetic purposes. So really glad to see loads of you in the chat, and it's good to see so many people sort of feeling quite good, considering that the market is boring as hell this week, isn't it? Tokyo says get a Bitcoin mask. Well, yeah, I mean, I could get a Bitcoin mask. At least it would look kind of cooler. Although I suppose it would make me a target for kidnappers and all the rest of it. I'll go out and they'll be like, give us your Bitcoin. But they won't get any. And I will die before I give them my Bitcoin. So... with that morbid thought out of the way, let's crack on into the video. I think it's good though to chat about all of this stuff. So let us start off with our crypto market special, and here we go. It is, oh, look at that, top of my head being cut off by the screen there. Let's put that on there, make me a little bit smaller. There we go, that's better. So, what's going on in... Paul says crypto pig mask would be boss. Actually, yeah, a bit late now, I suppose, with all the mandates being out of not needed anymore. But yeah, probably should have would have been a good marketing opportunity. I missed out. Oh dear. Although everybody was doing it, weren't they, at the beginning of this whole thing. There's only one mask that I would have been quite happy to wear, and Tokyo will know which one I'm on about, but it never got released, which was the Razor mask. Do you remember that one, Tokyo? Yeah, Razor. That mask was just so cool. That's the only mask I would have ever worn if it came out. Is the Razor? I obviously wore masks when I had to. I'm not completely heartless, but it's the only one I would have been happy wearing. Is the Razor one, which never got released and never will now, I don't imagine. But there we go. We've got Christopher Miller in the chat as well. Hey, Chris, how are you doing? Glad to see you in the chat, mate. Really, really good to see you here. Yes, basically, price today. Richie, Richie had not seen the price today, or had seen the price today? Because I feel like I should have probably warned you all before I turned on Coin 360. You probably needed some form of trigger warning before I showed you all the red on the market today. I feel terrible, like I've let you all down, and I could have been worse. I could have told you the market was looking amazing and then opened this. Right, so market, let's take a look at this together properly, and let's go over here. Right, Bitcoin, $30,729, dropped by just 3% today. Not really that bad. I mean, when you look at it for the actual percentage-wise, it's not really that worrying. Although Richie does say, "I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark," as his crypto portfolio disintegrates. Oh, that could be a good little meme. I might actually do that. I don't know if you saw in some of my earlier videos when I actually had time to do loads of editing. I did visual effects with the videos, which just took too long to do. They were great fun, but too long to do. But maybe I should find some time this weekend and do that. And I'll wait for the next time the market looks like this, because it won't look like this forever. But next time it looks red like this, I'll do a little meme where I have my portfolio dissolve away after, Thanos snaps his fingers. So Bitcoin, yes, down 3%. Ethereum down 4%. We are seeing a lot. It's looking a little bit more bearish for Ethereum over the last few days, but not really sort of to any degree to panic yet. And we'll look at the charts for it today anyway. We are seeing the biggest corrections on some of our other coins here. Cardano ADA down by 5%. BNB down by 7.4%. Link, I mean, you can see some deep red, especially across some of our DeFi projects. They seem to have taken a hit. Although, I'm not overly surprised in some ways, because last week we did have a bit of a pump with DeFi. Not massive, but it was a bit, there was a bit of a pump when the rest of the market was looking pretty meh. So it doesn't overly surprise me that it's come down a bit. And Richie pointing out there about me finding time to do these, try and do visual effects videos. He's pointing out there I don't even have time to tweet the stream out properly. It's true. Although I did spend half an hour today taking lots of photos, beautiful photos of myself, to actually create the thumbnails in advance. So I'm gonna have those all ready to go and just change the text out. So I am trying, Richie. I promise I am. And it seems to have worked a bit better, because we've got more of you in the stream tonight than we did last week. So that's good news. Let's crack on though with the charts. We need to go and take a look now at Bitcoin itself, because obviously it's leading the market. But let's have a look. So, where were we? We were kind of around here, weren't we, on Friday? Yep. And nothing has really actually changed. There you go. End of the stream. Goodbye. Have a good night. But actually, if for those who didn't see us last week when we were talking, we were talking about how this channel is just really holding up very nicely. Actually, it's bearish, but it's not you know, it's not overly bearish. It's not the sort of end of the world scenario, but this channel has held up very nicely now for 61 days, and it looks like it's going to continue holding, in my opinion. What I was expecting is for us to maybe bounce around here, and as you can see, that's pretty much what's happening at the moment. When we do see a breakout, what we're going to see is the price get up over this resistance level. Pardon me. It will probably get to around 41k. It will then retrace and test that as a support. If you are looking for your opportunity to go long on Bitcoin, I mean, yeah, you could probably go long here because I think that this is going to hold up, in my opinion. But, and this isn't obviously financial advice, you know, the safe bet, the safe play would be to wait for us to break out and then retest here. And you would buy in at around sort of 35, 36k and then ride the price moving up from there. And at least then, you know, you can set your stop loss. If you do buy it there, set your stop loss somewhere around here, and you know you're not going to make big losses. If you buy now, you would have to certainly set a stop loss not too far below, because we have got the potential for, you know, a very big breakout, and it could still go either way. It really depends on what the whales want to do, because unfortunately it looks like retail have actually left the market. I mean, not really left it, but they're not doing anything. The volatility's gone. We've got Bitcoin acting like a stable coin. It's literally just moving sideways and staying within this range, as you know, I pretty much predicted last week. And the GBTC unlock doesn't seem to have caused any big sell-off, or at least the worry about it happening hasn't caused the sell-off. And I believe it's unlocked now. So I think, you know, we're probably going to see it continue to range for a little bit first. Tokyo says, summary of all of James's streams. Bitcoin will definitely, hopefully, maybe go up. Unfortunately, this is the problem with the market like this. I mean, if I'm going to be definitive, I would say we're just going to continue to range. And that's not very fun. So, yeah, there is that to it. Paul Nadir says in the chat, James, do you think the bull run officially done for the season? Not yet, but this is where I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things going on that make me slightly worried. Not because of what I think of Bitcoin or necessarily because of the market. I believe, honestly, that the whales are still accumulating, and that's what we're seeing right here, is this accumulation. And when we looked at that Wyckoff pattern before, this is within that range, right? The volume is descending, the actual volatility is decreasing. This all indicates to a move, right? The logical thing would be for it to move up because the whales have been accumulating here. The institutional investors, they've all been buying up, right? So if they didn't feel that this was a good level, okay, we are, of course, hearing calls for 24k Bitcoin. And if a big enough number of players decide that that's where they're going to target, then yes, definitely that's going to happen. I think my stream is, for God's sake. Is my stream playing up? I've got I've got access. I'm connected. You guys hearing me? He's gone. Am I back? YouTube went, Twitch hung in. For God's sake. Absolutely terrible. Oh, you can hear me. You can see me. Oh, thank you, guys. Right. Same problem again. This is getting ridiculous now, right? So I've got the top level Wi-Fi and, well, I've got the top level actual internet access, right? So it's, unfortunately, it's with Virgin Media. They are trash, but they have the best speeds. And I've got the router that's stupid. It's 5G. It's got sort of 8 bloody, things, Wi-Fi things on the top. And this has got like the Pro Wi-Fi Asus motherboard, There's no reason that I should be doing this except the fact that I have 4 kids and they're all playing online video games right now, and I'm going to have to find a way to prioritize my streams so that there must be a way for me to do it where it prioritizes me over them on the traffic. I apologize for it being a bit dodgy there, guys. It might cut off at some point. Again, please don't leave. It is just crappy internet, or probably my kids being a pain in the butt. So anyway, that threw me a little bit, but what was I saying? I was saying, wasn't I, about accumulation. It does look like it's an accumulation phase, as long as there is no sort of big sort of incident that kind of creates a push down, or a number of whales decide they're going to push it down to 24k. We should continue to range for a bit, and then once we break that, we will see it go up. The trouble we have got is, and this is why I wanted to do, well, I'm doing the live streams anyway, because I want to do live streams, but the reason I wanted to talk about this tonight, and what I'm worried about, is whether there is another Black Swan event on the horizon. Now, I mean, people are arguing that the lockdown that we had last event then, when the markets all crashed down, Bitcoin dropped by a ridiculous amount. Others are arguing that that's not really a Black Swan. Black Swan is even worse than that. But anyway, the point is I'm using the term to mean a big, massive crash across all the markets. There is potential for that to happen again, and there's a couple of reasons for it I want to talk about. But then before, though, I want to talk about why we're seeing this kind of suppression on Bitcoin, and who's also helping to suppress that. Nadir says, I think the whales prefer to buy with more discounts, like 28, 26k maybe, or even less. What do you think? I agree that it's definitely a possibility, and I haven't said it isn't, that we could break down from here to 24k. And if we look at the charts, that would bring us down to this support here. It is possible. It would mean another drop of what we're looking at from where we are now at. It'd be another like 25, oh no, probably to get to 24k, about 20%. Yeah. So it would be a big drop for that to happen. Guys are asking me to post the Twitch stream link, because yes, I will do that. Let me do that now for you guys, so you can come and join me there if you're getting rubbish stream. There you go, guys. That's the Twitch link. Check that out if you're having problems watching me on YouTube. It does look like YouTube is playing me up, so I do apologize for that one. Twitch does seem to be okay. Okay. There we go, we're all good. So yeah, I mean, it is possible that we could drop down there. It would be a proper breakdown. Oh, for God's sake. I think we're going to have to put rules in place over the internet, aren't we? And the kids are going to have to come off of it during my live streams. It's only been a recent problem, though. I mean, we had it at the beginning of the streams, kind of last time round we did streams, but for ages we haven't had that issue. So that's not good, unless it's the time we're doing the stream, or the fact that I'm doing it on both platforms. Maybe that's what it could be. It shouldn't really be playing me up. Let me just have a look at some settings, see what I can do. No. Okay. Alright, hopefully that'll be alright now. We'll see. Back. Oh no, Twitch is a pain. Come and check me on Twitch, guys. It's probably better on Twitch anyway. So anyway, right, let's crack on, because the internet is trash here. Yes, we have to be careful, but there's a couple of things going on that I think we need to be aware of in the background. Okay, so first up, the fear and greed index. We haven't looked at this one for a while. So as you can see, we're still in extreme fear over on this index. It has been worse. Yesterday was 19, and going further back from here. Where do we go to get that? Here we go. No, come on, I want the actual Oh, there we go. It's down the bottom. So let's take a look at it over the maximum. And you can see here we've been really kind of, as long as Bitcoin's been ranging here, we've been ranging in the actual fear and extreme fear on the index. I'm having a look at where we were last time we had this kind of level, sort of the end of December 2019, March when we had the Black Swan event. So I suppose, you know, we haven't had, and this was the whole of 2018, so that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the market is anywhere near as bad as it was back in March of 2020. And certainly nowhere near as bad as it was in 2018. But we are still ranging down here. Was that McDonald's Wi-Fi? I don't know, I missed the Tokyo say millionaire with dodgy internet. Yeah. Richie says that's how he keeps his money. He uses McDonald's Wi-Fi. I'm actually sort of in my car, sat outside McDonald's. Oh, actually no, even better. I'm actually set up in the corner of McDonald's. Doing this live stream live from McDonald's for you. Oh dear. It's a shame I haven't got any. The last couple of streams, I think I had McDonald's with me when I was doing the stream. So, unfortunately, I don't today. That would have been hilarious. Oh dear. We've got Paul in the chat saying, please, no more downside. My missus hasn't seen my recent portfolio balance, and I'll probably have to start sleeping in the car. Yeah, it's that kind of bad, mate, I'm afraid, isn't it? But let's see how it goes. One of the things, like I said, we're seeing loads of people buying up, and like I said, at work, we're seeing people wanting to buy Bitcoin, getting to DeFi all the time. We keep getting people like JP Morgan predicting the price is going to go to 25k. And we've seen actually as well, I've seen a couple of news bits about Robert Kiyosaki, who I really actually like, the guy who did the Rich Dad Poor Dad books. He's predicted 24k Bitcoin. He predicted that a while ago actually, and said that there was going to be a big crash. And people have kind of recycling that again now, saying that there's a big crypto bubble, and that's what Kiyosaki's saying. No, I don't think that's what he was saying in the tweet. I haven't got it loaded, might find it. I think he's saying there's going to be a big crash. Bitcoin will go to 24k, but he's going to buy it at 24k. Because that's as low as he thinks it will get. Not because there's going, 20% off from where we are now is a lot of money, but it's not, from where we are at the moment, it's not really a big massive crash. So if the big crash happens and we only go down to 24k, I think that we're doing pretty well compared to the rest of the markets. If they all end up plunging and going underwater. One of the things is we talked about with the grayscale thing, the sell-off, right? These guys said 25k because of grayscale sell-off. Well, we haven't seen that yet. And these guys are really, really infamous for making, and they say here, infamous for making these horrible predictions about Bitcoin's price. And they do it because they are buying it up. But look, they're invested and they're buying it as cheap as they can. They want it cheaper. Also, following on from this, where they were talking about it going to 25k, we pop over to this newest news story about JP Morgan, and they're on a blockchain hiring spree. So they have this project called Onyx, and they're basically trying to employ a load of people to come over and help with this project, including marketing. Now, they wouldn't be doing that unless they were going to be launching some form of product. My guess is that it's probably going to be aimed at institutional investors because it's JP Morgan, but for all we know, it could be retail. And if they've got their own product coming out, they're going to want their product to look amazing, and they're going to probably want to capitalize on the markets. It's the same with the government when they start talking about about stable coins as they have been. So while we're talking on jobs, though, I did want to share with you guys, if you are thinking about careers in the blockchain industry, and there are plenty of them, you probably want to learn to code, because the salaries are absolutely ridiculous. I was reading this the other day, that proper, devs with a couple of years experience with Solidity are being paid. Now, this is in dollars, but I know from friends who are recruiters in the space that they are paying 250 grand in, £250,000 a year to Solidity developers here in the UK who've got a couple of years of experience. And actually, new developers are on stupid amounts of money, like 80, 90k as well, with very little experience, because there's a big shortage of developers. It makes sense, because most good Solidity developers are stinking rich right now and don't need to go and work for JP Morgan or other companies. They can create their own projects, their own DeFi protocols, and get even more stinking rich, or they could just retire because they got so much money from the projects they worked on before. So yeah, just a side note, but if you are looking at that, take a look at Solidity development and coding, because it just looks like ridiculous money. And then, of course, once you're at that level, you do your own project and then you retire anyway. So win-win. So and actually, talking on that, I've been trying to learn a bit of Solidity myself, but actually at work they're going to teach me a bit as well. So pretty cool stuff. And maybe I will be creating my own DeFi projects very soon. I'm not too soon. I'm planning it, but I'm not that good yet. So anyway, with that waffling out the way, let's take a look. Chris says, yeah, I wouldn't listen to the big dogs saying it's going to go lower. Classic FUD. They said it was dead in 2019. Exactly. And in 2019 they were adding it to their treasuries, people. So these guys, they're just trying to force down the price. You've got to try and ignore it. Okay, we can see what's happening in the market. It's just ranging, it's consolidating and being accumulated. The thing to really bear in mind, look, is that this is at the moment it's a bearish trend, but this usually is a reversal. This descending channel. It's usually a reversal signal, which is why I feel that it's more likely to go up than down. The only thing that could bring it down is if we get the black swan event, and we'll talk about that in a moment when we've talked about stable coins, because we've got this new weird attack going on from the Fed about stable coins are not money. And well, of course, all right, they're not money, but they are a good substitute for the dollar when we want to trade and to quickly move between a more stable asset and some of the smaller alternate coins that and tokens we like to trade. But they've been doing a lot of research into stable coins, and they are starting to look at regulating them. So this new paper, authored by the Federal Reserve attorney and a Yale economist, has described a regulatory framework for stablecoins. The authors said the stablecoins are not yet money and likened the environment to the 19th century free banking era. They also advocated for taxing all private stablecoins once the Fed launches its own central bank digital currency. So there you go. I like the fact that it does tell us straight up in here what the actual reasoning is behind them slagging off stablecoins. It's because they're creating their central bank digital currency and are going to basically tax all of the other ones as soon as they're able to. So, yeah, not particularly, at least it's transparent. So anyway, the point here is that they're saying there's actually over $100 billion there's $100 billion in US dollar-backed stablecoins that are actually, issued to various private entities. Now, of course, some are meant to be backed one-to-one with the dollar, and they're very popular. But a lot of people are not sure about whether they're actually fully backed, and that's something that Richie's asked me to look into with regards to Tether, and we will do that. I think we'll have to do it as a proper video, maybe. And I know I keep promising to talk about Tether, but we will. But people are kind of worried, that they may not be fully backed up. And their concern at the Fed, or one of their concerns, is that stablecoins, if they're not perceived as being safe because coin holders have suspicions about the backing, then they may be inclined to run on the issuers. Well, yes, but then we could also end up with a run on the banks, couldn't we? If people are worried about inflation, which is happening, if people are worried about the Fed printing too much money, which is happening. So all of this is applicable to the dollar. Now, the interesting argument, I think, here is this about there being no questions asked, NQA. It doesn't meet that principle. Now, NQA is a principle about whether you have to ask what the real value of the currency you're using is. And if it relates back to this this bit here about the free banking era, why can't I pronounce that? It's terrible. The period between 1837 and 1863 in the United States, I thought this was really fascinating. I hadn't really looked into this before, but I thought it was really interesting. I did look it up. Basically, private banks and businesses were able to offer their own currencies. And so you had different currencies from different banks in different states, and you had different currencies even from businesses that were apparently backed by gold and silver. And I thought to myself, how interesting is that? Because in a way, I can see where the comparison is between that free banking era and the and cryptocurrencies as we see them now, or at least with stablecoins. So I do actually get that comparison. But of course, this isn't about that. This is just about the CBDC that they want to run, and their desperation to find ways to regulate the space and to also monopolize with their CBDC. Now, if they create a CBDC that is the digital dollar, and you can use that to actually trade on exchanges really quickly, then maybe that will be useful. But it would need to be. I mean, what's the point in it being on the blockchain if it's not decentralized? That's my main concern there, and the fact that the government have control over it. So, I don't think that they are going to be aiming for that. I think they just literally want to find a way to stop people moving to crypto. We're getting a lot of ads trying to jump in on the chat there at the bottom, I can see. Thank you, Richie, for taking care of them. I do appreciate that, mate. That's great. Oh, dear. So, yeah, I mean, if we look at it, it looks like we're going to have some problems with the Fed moving forward. The actual, their target at the moment looks to be stable coins, because I suppose it's going to be a little bit easier for them to regulate them, perhaps. But one of the things that I thought was interesting in this article is where it talks about what it means for us as investors, and that it's saying that, if you stick to the bigger cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum for long-term holding, then you should be okay, because there's less risk, blah blah blah, and the stable coins you only use if you're trading on exchanges, which is probably what they're used for, or for if you've got money on the sidelines and you're waiting for a dip. So people don't tend to hold money in their stablecoins for too long. We hold it while we wait for a dip, and then you buy back in. But I mean, that's a fair point, I suppose. Is if you want less risk, go for the well-known coins. I mean, it's a bit of a shit Sherlock, no shit Sherlock, as someone I know says. But regulation will probably end up coming to the smaller altcoins before it comes to the bigger ones, because like Ethereum and Bitcoin, there's very little that governments can do to stop them. They have big enough networks that it's kind of out of their reach, but smaller coins definitely could be within the reach of regulators. So some fair points in the article there. Now, the real concern for us guys moving forward, like I said, Bitcoin is kind of doing all right now, but our biggest concern for the future is going to be a black swan event. Okay, there have been so many weird events over the last couple of years, it's almost kind of ridiculous. Okay, so if you really think about it, yeah, a lot happens every year, but unless this kind of level of crazy happens every year and we're just too busy because we're allowed to go out that we don't notice it. I'm not sure. But it just seems like so much more weird stuff has been happening over the last couple of years that it feels almost inevitable that something big is going to happen, right? Because as if COVID wasn't a big enough deal as it on its own. And, you know, we won't go into it, but it does point out here some of the biggest issues that we've had. And, you know, cyber attacks. There was the attack on that pipeline in America, the cyber attack, where fuel couldn't be pumped. There was the Suez Canal being blocked. Obviously, COVID itself. All of these things have been kind of building up to a surprisingly kind of chaotic level. And there was this here where the science of surprises is what is referred to in chaos theory. And I don't know anything about chaos theory, but I do like the sound of that, science of surprises. And we've got some stuff brewing that makes me worry. So obviously we have COVID, which is still an issue. We've got the threat of further lockdowns. We've got chaos, and, you know, we've got looting in South Africa, the Zuma riots, and these are, I mean, if you've seen the footage of what's going on there, it's literally apocalyptic. We're not talking about some protests getting out of hand. We're talking about thousands of people rioting and looting. It's kind of out of control. Well, it is out of control over there. Now, the official trigger that people are blaming for this is the fact that the former president, Zuma, was arrested and actually sentenced. And while it says here in the article, many analysts say that it's that, and that there's a third force sympathetic to the former president at play, the actual government there is saying that they think it's economic sabotage and that it's an attempted coup or an insurrection. Personally, I think that society is breaking down. I think that's what the problem is. I think we've been in lockdowns. People are scared. They're still scared about what's going to happen in the future. People are also not as compassionate or caring about each other or as polite as they used to be. I mean, if you just look at it, like, people are not very patient. Now, there was this figure. I will grab it up because it does help to kind of illuminate my point. So let's just quickly find this. One moment. Okay, so yeah, this isn't the actual article I read, but it does do the job. What is driving the US air rage spike? So this was interesting as well. And where's the actual statistic? Because it is up, like, literally, I think it's like hundreds and hundreds of percent in the increase in actual violence on planes, right? This probably wasn't the best article to find because I can't see the stat directly and very easily. But here we go. Between January and mid-June of this year, approximately 3,100 reports of unruly behaviour, of which 487 have been investigated, were made, which compares to a whole year average of 142 investigations over the last decade, okay? So people are not patient anymore. People are getting more violent. They are getting more aggressive. Now nightclubs are open. I wonder how high that, the figures for sort of violence, drunken assaults and all the rest of it go. We've seen massive increases in crime. I'm not sure what the stats are in the UK, but I certainly know, having seen it for America, it is up quite huge percentages, especially in cities. This is not a good sign, right? When society starts to kind of have problems, we end up, it's backlash. It's basically people have pent up anger, in my opinion. France protests clashes with police on Bastille Day amid anger at tighter COVID rules. This again, violent rioting and violence. We've got, of course, Cuba Cuba, I can completely understand why that's happened. They're angry because they've been locked up for ages with COVID, and they're angry anyway because they weren't happy with their form of government over there. But you've also got the trouble in Haiti with the assassination of the president there, and probably what could be civil war or some form of unrest happening there as a result. And then in the UK, we still had people. This I didn't get. There was people out protesting against restrictions today on apparently Freedom Day, which a week ago, or if they turned around and changed their decision, maybe we would have seen protests about it. But I was quite surprised to see protests today, following the fact that we've had pretty much most restrictions lifted. So now, of course, they're going to have something else to protest about, and that's that the government are now saying that from September you're going to need to have 2 jabs to be able to enter nightclubs. And young people aren't at risk of this. The truth is, the stats show they're not at risk of this. And as Richie pointed out, it turns out 60% of people who've had 2 jabs are in hospital, or 60% of the people in hospital are people who've had 2 jabs. So I think that there's a lot of stuff going on. We could be looking at, some sort of black swan event this year towards the end of it as a result. We've got to point out as well that, and this is where maybe it gets a bit more hopeful, because I know that it probably sounds like I'm being super, super negative and miserable, but it's not that. It's just that I think we have to be aware of what's going on in the world. And Paul puts it in the comments here before I say it. Inflation also. Exactly, Paul. There is massive inflation. Biden put out a statement about it today, I believe, where he said, "Oh, it's just a temporary thing, guys. Come on, man. It's just temporary, man." But let's be honest. It doesn't look like it's temporary. Okay? I think this is a marketing phrase they're using when they're saying that it's transitional inflation. Okay, there was a story which I was watching. A guy called Tim Pool does loads of news reviews, right? I find he's quite balanced. He's a little bit right leaning, but I think he's fairly balanced, right? And just to point out, I do also watch, on the other side of things, I watch people like Jimmy Dore, and I watch Russell Brand. So I'm getting my news and my views from a wide range of people on the political sphere, and I think it helps because it means you can look at things balanced. I don't go to one source for all my news, and I think it really helps. But in this video, he was talking about American retailers were stocking up on frozen meat. So they were buying up huge amounts, apparently, of meat, frozen meat, and storing it, not putting it on the shelves, but just storing it in their warehouses. Now, they were theorizing that this is because they think there's going to be some sort of crisis, and it will happen in the next couple of months, because frozen meat lasts longer, but it doesn't last forever. So there's stuff going on that we just really have to be aware of. And I've got Nidia saying I'm right, and Chris saying we could be looking at conspiracy. We have to put the tinfoil hat back on again, guys, for this video. Yes, it could well be. It could be some sort of conspiracy theory. But the stuff going on, it all kind of starts to add up. That things aren't right. Okay, things are not heading back to normal. We know that's going to be the case. So this could be having an effect, right? And what will happen is we will see some sort of correction. Oh, great point there from Richie. Price of petrol is crazy again as well. Yeah, people paying stupid amounts of money for petrol. And in America, they call it gas. But yes, huge problems economically. And then we get this. Biden backs the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, but places a big condition. Now, this is actually very good for Bitcoin. It's very good for crypto. What I think is going to happen, though, is possibly we will have a black swan event. Crypto will, of course, crash, because what we saw with the COVID lockdowns is everything crashed then, okay? The stocks did, gold did, silver did, and of course, Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market did. But the point here is that what actually recovered fastest, it was Bitcoin and crypto. It really recovered super fast while everything else was playing catch up. Now, if we have another big black swan event and it's something quite substantial, what we'll probably see is we will see an initial chaos moment where everything will pull back, but Bitcoin will end up being the winner of that, because so far it seems to be the winner every time we've had one of these dips, right? It's always bounced back faster. And I think that, sorry, I was reading some comments. I think that we could expect that pullback, but I'm not going to let that worry me. Right now on the charts, we're looking like we're going to range. Maybe we are going to range until this event happens, and we'll find ourselves dropping down a lot and then slowly building our way up again. But what you do need to remember is that if the whole market crashes, if the dollar and the pound become hyperinflated, yes, your Bitcoin might only be worth 24k because that's what it drops to, but it'll actually still be worth probably more than 24k, because of course if the dollar inflates, you'll get probably more for your Bitcoin, and that's why Bitcoin will rise much faster as a result of after that kind of crash. So I think that Mr. X has mentioned here about the OPEC agreement. Now, is that the agreement between America and Saudi Arabia over what they're going to do about prices for the barrels of oil? I feel like that's probably something. Maybe I'm wrong. If that's correct, let me know. I will bring up a tab in a minute to double check. But if I'm right, then I will give you my comments on it. I don't want to go off on a tangent if I'm wrong. But yeah, the point here is that there is this big infrastructure bill that they've actually struck an agreement with, between the Democrats and Republicans. The interesting thing here is that when I see these things, I think printing money, right? And you've got to be careful with the way they phrase these things, because the beginning of this article over on the BBC tells you how it's a lot of money, 860 billion pounds worth, of money. But it's an 8-year plan. It includes funding for roads, bridges, power grid, public transport. And, it's actually not that bad a deal, because it turns out it'll create millions of jobs and the investments are long overdue. And then it says here, the other point that we want to make is that actually the money isn't going to be printed, because it's actually already money that's been printed. The package is meant to be paid for with unused coronavirus aid money and returned state jobless benefits. So they're saying there that, we're not going to be printing more money to pay this bill. The money's already been printed. It was printed earlier this year. So it's not really like it's actually a good thing. But then they say even more down here, they say, actually, because we'll also be beefing up enforcement through, the internal revenue, we should actually make 100 billion in extra tax. I'm assuming that'll be over the 8-year plan. So actually it works out quite good for us. The catch, though, guys, which is really interesting, is when you go further down here, President Biden, Mr. Biden, that's interesting. President Biden has, maybe we'll stick with Mr. Biden then. Mr. Biden, if that's what they're calling him on the BBC, is fine. Mr. Biden has actually said there's a big condition, though, on whether this bill goes through. And what's that condition? There's going to be a new separate bill with another $6 trillion of spending. And that isn't coming from existing money. That's going to be printed, guys. So it's just a big con. And then they say here, the 6 trillion spending package that's going to be rolled out is going to be prioritizing climate change, education, paid leave, and childcare benefits. Now, these things are, they're necessary, probably, to some degree, but let's be honest, do you need paid leave? Because most people are at home now, aren't they? And most people are working from home. But anyway, I'm just being facetious. But the point is that should they be printing $6 trillion more money to pay for these things? Probably not as much as some of these things would be nice. that's a lot of money they're printing. But I mean, it's good for us in the crypto space because, of course, when that money printer starts printing money, inflation is going to go higher. We're going to end up, Richie points out there, money printer goes, then, we're going to end up with higher value for Bitcoin. And more and more people are going to buy Bitcoin because they'll realize that this is just not going to help them. And I think it's also kind of funny that it's Bernie Sanders that's in charge of this bill. He's a self-described democratic socialist. So it all helps. And, of course, Speaker Pelosi says there ain't going to be a bipartisan bill without a reconciliation bill. So what a waste of time, because let's be honest, $6 trillion spending package, are they, and it's, it's going to have tax increases for the wealthy and corporations. Let's be honest, the Republicans aren't going to vote on this. They're not going to go with this. And, they're not going to want to lose their own money for a start. But of course, they're not going to want to be adding more taxes to people. So it's almost like maybe none of this happens, or it's a way to kind of force it to happen. The good news, of course, like I said, is that money printer goes brr and Bitcoin goes up as a result. And news-wise, this is what's kind of going on. I think that, there's potential for a Black Swan event, so we just need to be wary and careful that it may well crash down. But I think if it does have that event, I think that 24K would actually be a pretty realistic support level for it. And maybe that's what JP Morgan knows and we don't. If we want to go down the conspiracy theory route. That's my views on this. That's what I think's kind of to worry about. If this is all just coincidence and none of this stuff is going to lead to any sort of problems, then we're just going to range for a little while and then we'll hopefully see the price pump up. So there we go. Chris in the chat saying 2 local resistance now are making it hard for the price to start to rise. We need confirmation of the upcoming rise by breaking these resistances. So resistance at 32,300 and 33,300. Definitely agree with you on there. Actually, if we kind of come in and have a look, and before we move on to other charts for the end of the stream, we will actually let's just take a look. So 33,300. Yeah, I mean, that could, I suppose, that could be sort of local resistance. And definitely 32,000 is local resistance on the short time frame. And, we will probably find resistance. It's going to be a band of resistance, really. We're probably going to find that it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow moving, I think. We'll probably see ourselves find resistance again at 37. And then, of course, we're going to definitely see resistance at 40k. But once we're over this level, I feel pretty bullish at that point. With regards to the other direction, we've obviously got this support. I think that as long as this support level holds, even though it is bearish, as long as this holds, we can hold on to hope that we're not going to be sort of crashing. But, as it goes for support from under here, it's pretty sparse. That's the way to say it. And, if we do break down from here, I think that, we could be looking at that 24k realistically, because there isn't very much support going down from there. So instead of crypto, I'm reading Paul's comment. This is where I'm going with this one. So instead of buying crypto, you do want to buy meat, toilet paper, and board the house up. Yes, Paul. And if you are in a country which allows for firearms, probably some guns and some ammo as well. Just obviously, if you do that, make sure it's legal and make sure that you store them safely, please. Responsible gun ownership for our American viewers. But yes, it is interesting. the Epic Economist channel. This is the Epic Economist channel, where we consider the markets, the news, and conspiracy theories. And it makes for entertaining news, I think. Yeah, Richie makes a good point there. So, not financial advice, and also not firearms advice either. Please don't want to hear stories about people blowing their heads off because they bought a gun to protect themselves from the apocalypse. But yes, market-wise, this is what I'm expecting. I think, it could be that this is all coincidence, and we continue to range. I mean, I was right about us ranging over the weekend. That's pretty much happened. We see where we are with the levels now, guys, and what we're dealing with. So, there are people that point out, it's fair to point out, that on the 1 week, we did close below the 50-day moving average, which is bearish. So, it is bearish, but we are still holding up in the channel. So, I feel like, to be honest, we're just going to see more ranging, guys. It's just going to be more ranging, I'm afraid. I'd like to say that it's going to shoot up or crash down, but it's probably not immediately going to happen like that. But the thing that we need to watch out for is external forces. And that's that. That is it. That is everything. Now, we are actually over time, but if you guys would like me to do a chart of something else before we finish, let me know in the chat down below, and I will bring up another chart quickly. They're all probably going to say the same thing, which is nothing's moving because it's so boring on the market right now, which is why we've resorted to conspiracy theories, I think. But let me know in the chat if you want me to look at anything quickly before we round it up. Everyone is down, exactly. Oh, everybody's down, everybody's miserable. It is the way, I think. Oh, dearie me. Heat in my living room chart. Yes, the temperature. The temperature in this Litecoin. Yes, Cheesley, you're right. Litecoin, I did promise I would look at that for you, didn't I? Right. Now, for you guys, I wanted to point out, I believe... No, I might be wrong. I don't want to say it unless I'm 100% sure about it. I did read something recently about who the smartest people are in crypto, or in the crypto investing space. Now, I believe that they said Ethereum holders and XRP holders were among the smartest people in the space. And I have this terrible feeling that Litecoin may be on the opposite end of the scale. I'm sorry, Tuesday, I'm just joking. I'm kidding with you, but I am going to find out what that was. Who is smartest? And it was called that. The actual title was really, really on the nose. It was literally saying, like, who is the smartest investors in crypto? And I probably won't find it. It was funny. Maybe it was Litecoin in there. Probably Doge as well on the lower end of the spectrum. I'm sorry, Tuesday. It's mean of me. It's mean of me. Right, let's take a look at Litecoin. Oh, I tried to avoid looking at Litecoin. I was so excited for it. So, guys, I did talk about it back. Yeah, I must have talked about it back in May when it was going on. When it was in this channel. But the breakdown has been bearish. Obviously, everything's bearish at the moment. Where are we at? So, I suppose the good news there is on the RSI, it does look like it's about to head into the oversold territory, which is good. It's had its death cross, which is good because it means that, like I said, I always say it's a lagging indicator, and that means that we're near enough at the bottom for it, which is good too. And with regards to support, okay, so there's a little bit of support where it is right now, and maybe it looks like it's found some support, but let's go into the 1 hour chart just to have a look at it on the and see. Okay, no, this is going to dip more. Okay, guys, I think that we're going to see more losses on Litecoin over the rest of this day. So if you have a look at this on the RSI, we are sort of still down here at the lower end. It did go into the oversold territory, and if you look, this is why I think we're going to have it come down even further. Is this here? Now I know that it's only over a few hours, and you know, patterns, we like them to be over longer periods of time, but it is a rising channel at the bottom of a bearish move. This is a bearish signal. So I think that you're probably, most likely scenario here, I'm afraid, guys, is that Litecoin is going to dip a bit further today. And how far will it dip? It's probably likely it's going to dip down to around $104.29, mainly because that's the next level of support, really is around here. Okay, so actually, I mean, maybe even $100. So it's going to be around $105 that's going to dip to today at the very least. I imagine it'll probably find some support there. If it can find support there and hold, then it may be that it can hold up with the rest of the market while it moves sideways. Otherwise, you know, next target will be 90 and then probably 70 after that. And 70 would be pretty much, I would be really shocked if it went lower than 70, because you've got support there from the bull run. You've also got resistance, which would flip to support, I would have thought, from back in August last year. Will it go that far down? I don't think so, but it would, I mean, I think we're probably most likely going to see it come down to around 104. You might find it drops down a bit further today. So, because support-wise at the moment really isn't that sort of strong a support level. So very, very high potential that it's going to dip further today, guys. I wonder what the fib levels look like on this one, actually. Just quickly grab that. Let's take it from the breakout in October. So we're already at a complete, you know, so it's not good. I think this is probably possibly why we're seeing it dip even further today. If we do it by the counter body, yeah, so it was already trading and finding support at the 0.786 fib level, and is now broken below that. Now it may bounce and get itself back over that, and if it does that, I mean, it could be that it comes down, tests 104 and bounces back and then gets itself back over the 0.786. If it can do that, then I think we'll probably see it range and hopefully hold its value there, and maybe hold there until we get back into the bull run. If it doesn't, then it's going to go to 104 down to 100. I would probably suspect that the lowest it will go would be around 70 to 90 dollars, so somewhere around here. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's probably going to find sort of support at 100 and $104. It depends how long we're going to stay in the bearish trend for, guys, on Bitcoin. So yeah, a bit disappointing to see that. And obviously with fib levels, you know, the next fib level would actually be 0. So, yeah, back to square one. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think you need to worry about it going back to 0. I think you do need to probably be wary that it could go back down to 100, 104, maybe 100. So, yeah, I don't know where you were. I don't know where you bought in at Cheesley. I can't remember. I know you bought early, but did you buy early enough? I reckon, looking at the charts here, you're probably near break even, I reckon. So you may want to consider a stop loss. Not financial advice, but then maybe consider a stop loss. Because if it does break down, it could head back down to sort of pre-bull run levels. I don't think that'll happen, but just be aware of it. It's definitely on the 1 hour chart. It looks like it's going to head down further. So, nice chart to end it on, isn't it? Nadir seems to agree, Litecoin 90 to 70, I think. Oh dear. Let's see, should we do one more? Paul asked for ADA. Let's go with ADA. I think we'll do ADA this time. Okay, last one then, ADA for tonight. So, again, another one I haven't looked at for a little bit because it's just... Okay, so this is actually not looking too bad. All right, well, we can actually finish this one on one that doesn't look too negative. That's a relief. All right, guys, so Cardano ADA. Now, it is kind of at a crucial sort of point, I would say, which is it's now you know on the support of the 200-day moving average. That can be a bit of a signal. You've got to be aware as well that that 50-day moving average is starting to come down. Possibility of a death cross happening is there. And I certainly can tell you that once, if it has the death cross, there will be sell-off because people will panic and sell. Now, Cardano does seem to have done pretty damn well considering. So, although it did have massive gains actually during the run. So I say it's actually done pretty well. It is still actually dipped 53% since its all-time high. So in that respect, still massive losses, but the actual gains it made overall, I suppose it's doing pretty well when you consider that. Now, my main concern for Cardano ADA, guys, and is the only reason that I'm feeling very kind of not bearish about it, but reserved, is the fact that all of our support for Cardano ADA right now is literally right beneath us right now, at about $1.1314. Okay, this is our band of support here, guys. And to be honest with you, I would say like, obviously we've got some wicks that go down as far as 98, 99 cents, but $1 would probably be our line of last defense on this, because it's a big psychological level. And if you look at how fast Cardano pumped during that bull run, I mean, it was pretty insane. 344% in, a couple of weeks. There isn't loads of support on the way up there, which means that if we don't hold $1, it will very quickly descend back down to 30 cents. So that's my only reason for being a little bit cautious, a little bit worried about Cardano. Cardano could be fine. It's just really depends on the overall market. If we find that Bitcoin doesn't pump up soon and the rest of the market doesn't start, or at least we don't start seeing movement in the rest of the market, then Cardano is at risk of having quite a significant correction. But it's held up here so far. It's done pretty well at holding the $1 level. I think it's got a big community behind it. They are now starting to actually do smart contracts. So there's stuff happening that will hopefully hold it above here. If it holds and we start getting that pump again, then Cardano is going to fly even further. But it's a bit risky. So just be very, very wary, guys. And if you're in profit, I would be looking at maybe setting some form of stop loss around the sort of 78 to 80 cent level, so that if it does suddenly crash, you will retain some of those gains, because if there is a dip, it will be huge on it. Hopefully, we are looking at the tail end of this kind of bearish sentiment, and Cardano and ADA will stay up there. There we go, guys. Hopefully so. Hopefully that's the case. Now it is probably time to call it a night because it's coming up for 10:30. I hope that you all enjoyed the stream because I enjoy, I really do enjoy actually chatting to you guys and talking and having people listen to me going about crazy theories as well. It's always fun too. But it's super hot in here, and it's really hot in here as well. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to go and chill out and enjoy the night. I hope you all have a good night, guys. I'm going to put a video out on Wednesday. I haven't actually decided what it's going to be about, which coin, so maybe if you have suggestions, you can stick it in the comments, or on Telegram, let me know what you'd like me to review, and I'll get a review out Wednesday night for you guys, and then I'll be back again Friday night for a live stream, same time again, and hopefully you'll all be able to join me there, and I'm hoping it's a little bit cooler by then, because it is a bit hot and bother. You know, I've got the big lights switched on here. It is quite warm. I think I've done a good job of keeping cool and chill, despite it being still probably 28, 29, probably even 30 degrees in here with the lights on. So I hope, hopefully it's cooler by Friday. Thank you guys so much. Chris says thanks, says you as well. I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. Paul says thank you all for your company today. Lots of love to everyone, and hope to see you all in the next stream. Lots of love to you as well, Paul. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. And to you guys over on Twitch as well. Thank you so much, Richie. Thank you, Mr. X, as well. Richie, great job as always. Really appreciate it, mate. Lots of love to you. And Cheesley as well. Loving you, mate. We will, and Tokyo, if you're still in the video, still watching. Love to everybody. Nadir, everyone. All of you, get my love. And enjoy your freedom this week. And I will catch you all for another live stream Friday. And with that being said, oh gosh, get my mouse over there to hit the button. It is time to call it a night. Everyone take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.